So when my friend Tom Babin, not to be confused with the other Tom, asked if I wanted to do a video comparing the infrastructure between Sao Paulo and Calgary, I jumped at the opportunity. I'm visiting Sao Paulo right now, and the history of the bike lanes here is really fascinating. And it's also really interesting the way that they had to work around some of the existing car infrastructure. So I'm looking forward to telling you all about it while doing a video comparison between Sao Paulo and Calgary. So the way that this is going to work is every time we see good infrastructure, we get 1 point, and every time we see something bad, we take away 2 points. There's going to be a lot of good and bad. I already know what's coming up, so I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. Bora? So I'm going to start by using the facial recognition at my apartment building that I'm staying at in Sao Paulo at this Airbnb to get my bike out of the indoor bike parking that they have here. So I think that's a +1.
Acesso liberado.
Secure indoor bike parking, 1 more point. Ooh, look at this shiny little bike repair station. I'm gonna give myself a +1. What? It's my video, I can do what I want. All right, let's go.
Wait for this guy.
Have to get in traffic here for a little bit, so that's a -2. We're gonna go up this little sidewalk here. I know it's not ideal, so that's another deduction I'm thinking. It's under construction for something right now, but on the left here we pass a CCAN where they provide bike lessons to adults who don't know how to ride their bikes or ride bikes. That's a +1. This is the subway station, and just up ahead here on the left, what you see is supervised bike parking for anyone that's using multi-modalities to get around the city. I don't know if you can see them, but there's quite a few bikes hanging here. The way it works is you register your bike yourself, your name, and you can park there for free, and there's a security guard standing there. Now we're going to get on the bike lane just on the right here. Oh, straight up ahead and then to the right. Huh?
This is better, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is Faria Lima bike lane, and as you can see here, it's in the middle of the boulevard. They kind of put it in between the trees. And the locals here get a lot of pushback for it being a really shitty bike lane. But the truth is, they used the space they had. It was either that or no bike lane. So cars aren't allowed to make a left turn crossing the bike lane. So I think that's another +1. They actually really love their boulevard bike lanes because it saves lives. Ever since these bike lanes have been implemented, there have been 0 deaths of cyclists on these roads. If you see just up ahead here on my right, there's a bike share. There's tons of these all over the city. So that's a +1. Bike counter, another +1. You saw there's some delivery guys. They basically depend on these bike shares to make a living. But there are some issues with that, and we can talk about that a little more as we go. But we're about to make change of pace here. So, come on. Don't you think this bike lane is beautiful? Yeah, there's a lot of cars around, but we're downtown Sao Paulo, a city that it's in the metropolitan area, has 12 million people. So I think it's doing pretty good. So now we exit this beautiful bike lane and enter the bike lane on Rebouças. I'm doing that. I didn't see a bike light here, so that's a -2. I had to trust the other cyclists, and I never like doing that because, you know. So here we have to Sharrow, and we know Sharrows are so. And now a painted bike lane. You know what? This would normally be considered a -2, but I have to tell you a little history about it that I learned yesterday. I learned that these Sharrows have saved lives. That ever since these Sharrows were implemented on this road, which connects the two financial districts of Sao Paulo, there have been 0 deaths on these roads. So this sidewalk here gives me a -2 because they didn't want to give up this space for cars, so they throw us. So this is a really big -2 if you ask me. Absolute bull. It's like, do I even go on this bike lane here? But it's my bike lane, so I'm gonna take it. How many points do I lose for all these cars? That's the question.
I'm gonna take another 2 points for the noise pollution.
Another Brazilian phenomena is motorcycles. A friend of mine, Rogério, was telling me the other day that it's called the Vietnamization of Brazilian traffic, where motorcycles are slowly taking over. And they already were in the 90s, but even more so now. We're going a little bit uphill, but if you can notice a little something, have you seen any bike parking at all? No, you have not. That's because it's kind of weird, but there is no bike parking.
Notice on the left, we have dedicated bus lanes. I'm gonna give myself a +1 for that.
And the international special, parking on the bike lane. Let's wait for these guys. Legal, estacionando na ciclovia, né? A gente não pode nem passar direito, que porra! you like Brazilian swearing. Yesterday when I was riding with George, I started yelling at a car on the bike lane. He's like, "Oh, you're acclimatized." And I said, "No, this is my everyday. It's absolute bull. And it's international." Last year when we were here, we took the bike share to go up here. And those bike share bikes, oh, they suck for going uphill. So this time we brought our own bikes. But the bike shares are cheap and useful. And I guess what I was going to tell you about the bike shares is, so they have become a lifeline for food delivery guys. But as soon as these guys can afford it, they buy a motorcycle because they can do more efficient food deliveries that way. I don't know if you noticed, but some guy on a motorcycle just catcalled me, which is really annoying. So these bike share guys use the bikes, or the food delivery guys use the bikes until they get motorcycles. So, first problem, they get motorcycles, and it really clogs up traffic with motorcycles weaving in and out, and often using the bike lanes. Second problem, the bike shares are totally taken by food delivery guys. During peak hours, it's nearly impossible to get a bike from the bike share. In case you haven't clued in yet, what do you think is the fastest way to move through the city? Car? Anyways, so there's a third problem, is that the city has zero provisions for these food delivery guys. They hang around downtown or these rich areas all day without a bathroom, without drinking a lot of water because they don't have a bathroom. And they come from far away from the poorer areas of the city by train or metro or bus, work all day delivering food till sometimes 10, 11, 12 or later, go home, and next day they start all over again. They really aren't making a living much. So food delivery apps give me a big, huge -2 in this city. How many points do I get? Do I lose for going uphill, or do I gain points? You tell me, Tom. Oh, but these bikes are nice. The challenge today is to get to the museum. I saw Pekka talking about drainage on the bike lanes. How's this, Pekka? Don't have to worry about snow here though, but they do worry about flooding, which has been happening more and more because of climate change. Not up here though, but in the lower, poor areas of the city, it's a real concern. How many points am I gonna lose right up ahead here for having to cross this merge? Watch this. Really nice driver. I'm gonna give myself a +1 for that one. gave me the thumbs up. He saw me. I know it's a car hellscape here, but I don't know. I just feel like the drivers here are nicer than the ones at home. Most deaths, most cyclist deaths happen with motorcycles and buses. So that tells you something. Cars are still relatively small in Brazil because of the cost of gas. Have you seen a single bike rack? I'm at the grocery store now and I still don't see a single bike rack, not even one. I'm gonna take another 3 points for that. Pesado, viu? Nice Brazilian cheering me on. That's another point. She saw my camera. She thought, oh, I'm gonna be famous. Please note, we don't get any points for noticing plastic surgery, because that's everywhere. It'd be an unfair advantage over Tom. Nice driver waiting for me, 1 point. I saw the way Pekka gave himself points, so I'm gonna do the same. Cat call. That's -2. Fun graffiti on the walls, that's +1. Look, the international symbol of bikes don't matter. Guys, it's uphill, so I'm huffing and puffing. No e-bike here. I'm a prairie girl now. Usually this is the part where I say, you know what? It's okay to walk. I am dying. I'm gonna die for Tom Babin. I was like, it's okay, there's a red light. I can stop for a bit. Look how they have these motorcycle priority lanes here. Motorcycle running red light, -2. Okay, you go ahead, Tom. You take 2 points for that. Fun fact, it's really hard to get a driver's license in Brazil, believe it or not.
Driver cutting me off, take 2 points.
But there's a law that's working towards making it easier. You know, it's not a privilege, it's a right. Yeah, you should get a +10 for doing that hill. Yeah, we're running this. A lot of beeping, Tom. Now we have to cross here to pick up the bike lane on the other side. So here's what they make you do. They make you go right, deal with these guys, then wait and go left. There's no light, so you're at the mercy of these. We go when we can. And the bike lane is protected by these parked cars, if you want to say it. And I don't know, is it a plus or a minus for that? So now we're about to the hill climbing is over, and we're gonna get on to Avenida Paulista, one of the most famous bike lanes in the city. So we just wait our turn right here to cross with the pedestrians.
That's it.
Yeah, and let's just go straight on the right here. And now we are another +1, because this is an oasis in the middle of a concrete jungle. It's the lifeline in the gray city. Bike share, empty. Still +1, bike share. Car waiting to get through, blocking the bike lane. That's definitely a -2. Blocked bike lane, too bad, so sad. What? Oh, okay. Let's go on the road.
So they made allowance for the bike lane on.
Whoa, so that's definitely a +1. I just didn't see it. See that tunnel there? That's so that cars can skip one set of lights. So they build tunnels in the middle of the city for that. That's a big -2. Licença. Yeah. I don't know if we should deduct points for pedestrians on the bike lane, because pedestrians are just as invisible as people on bikes. Guardrails for the bike people, +1. I don't know, I think making me go this close to cars once in a while is definitely a -2. I know it doesn't feel like an oasis to you guys, but this bike lane too, this road had a lot of cyclist deaths. So we'll see a few ghost bikes along the way here, but ever since this bike lane was implemented, there have been 0 cyclist deaths. So there you go. Bike lanes save lives. Even if the guy on the EUC is writing and texting. Cara, no celular, cara! You notice the no turning left? That's another +1. So we see the museum up ahead there. We're almost there. We're gonna make it. Bom dia. You know what? I'm not gonna yell at pedestrians for being on the bike lane today, because city, man. All right. So this big building that you see here is iconic. It's the Museum of Art of Sao Paulo, and it has an extensive archive of all the masters. It's also a historical building, so I think that our next challenge will be to find bike parking, but apparently they have it, so. Gentileza, onde é que fica o estacionamento de bicicleta?
A gente não tem bicicletária, a gente tem um estacionamento conveniado
Aham.
Fica descendo aqui.
Descendo desce a rua?
É, nessa rua aqui descendo.
E aí, como é que eu acho? Vai ser na esquerda?
Ele fica aqui à esquerda, o estacionamento aqui à esquerda.
Ah, tá. Obrigada.
Ó,
So we have to go. They don't have it on site, but they have. Ian, this way. They have a deal with somewhere. He says conveniado. That means partnership. He says you have to go down the street and on your left, that's where their parking is.
everyone's just trying to get to where they want to go, I guess.
Yeah, and running red lights. Whoops. Tudo bem. Oh, you can't go here. It's the one way. Yeah, we're gonna take the side way. Just be careful, baby. Okay, you can take a few points away, that's for damn sure. Can you go up? Because this car is gonna hit me right away. He said on the left here. So, you know, they're not very good at giving directions in Brazil. You just kind of say, go over there and then over there. Okay, we're gonna have to ride the sidewalk here. So, you go ahead. Take away my points. Licença. Licença. Estacionamento de bicicleta para o MASP aqui, que a gente estaciona, você sabe? Eles disseram que tem um convênio com um lugar.
Isso, aí é cobrado R$ 8.
R$ 8? E você mostra onde é que é?
É no piso de baixo, chegando aqui descendo a rampa.
Ah,
aí o
tá.
rapaz abre lá.
Ah, tem um cadeado e tudo. Dá pra gente dar uma olhada rapidinho antes de pagar? É? Tá bom.
Aí subindo eu libero o papelzinho.
Tá, e a gente pode decidir, né? Se quer ou não. Tá bom. Então posso descer aqui? Tá bom. Tá bom. So she said, go down this ramp. And then, eu quero ver primeiro, tá? She said to go down this ramp. And then what happens is the guy will open it and it will be R$ 8 for the day, which is about less than $2 Canadian. Ah, sim, sim. Ah, sim, é 8 por dia. And here we go.
Indoor secure bike parking gets the final point. Now for the final tally, we have plus 22 and minus 56 for a total of minus 34.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm not in Sao Paulo anymore, that's for sure. I'm back home in Winnipeg now in March, and it's still winter here. We were in Sao Paulo in December, and it was late spring there. I hope you enjoyed the stories I told along the way, and though the end score was just awful, the bike lanes in Sao Paulo are effective and important, even though they mostly exist in the more privileged areas of the city. I have a lot of stories to tell about them and the fight that the cyclists are having there just to keep them. There are many, many videos to come, so make sure to stay tuned. I rode along with two activists, Rogério and Jorge, and I'll be releasing those videos in the upcoming months, so make sure to like and subscribe. How did my scoring go? How would you have scored it? I know I was generous with my plus points, but I'm heavily biased, knowing the stories behind everything. But I'm curious what you thought of it all. I also haven't watched Tom's take on my ride, so I don't know how he scored it. So if you came here first, make sure to click the link in the description and go watch his take on it. But for now, let's watch Tom's video in Calgary and his bike ride to the museum there and see how it compares.
All right, so just at the start, it's such a stark difference from Sao Paulo. And I really don't like parking lots. I find them very stressful on a bike. So it's an automatic deduction. We're going to take away 2 points right here. Seems like a very wide road here, so I'm gonna take away another 2 points because it's a miserable place to have to share the space with cars. All right, I'll give a little point for the cute little bike sign, but we'll see what that means. So even though there was a bike sign before, I just don't like how close these cars are passing here. So I'm gonna take away 2 points again. Parking on both sides of the road for cars puts the bikes too close to the door zone. I like speed bumps, so I'm going to give it a point for that. I kind of want to give another +1 for how beautiful this day is, but I know that's not the point, so I won't. This whole section here actually gives me really chill vibes, like neighborhood greenway. You can see here that the speed is actually 30. So this is great. If we had more streets like this, we wouldn't need so much separated infrastructure. So I'm gonna give it another +1. Not sure if this is a thing all over Calgary, but this ability to park cars on both sides of the street earns a -2. Mostly because it puts the person on a bike in a really difficult situation of having to choose between being close to the door or being in the middle of traffic. I still think that just the fact that you're able to use these quiet 30-kilometer neighborhood streets to get somewhere earns you a +1. Wow, just look how much space is sacrificed to parked cars here and how much is left for everyone else to share. Oh, look at this beauty. Okay, now we're talking. Here's a point for you. Whoa, what's this here? A kid on a bike by themselves? That's good sign. That's a sign of safe infrastructure right there. So the thing about multi-use pathways is that you are now having to share with pedestrians and it can cause some conflict. But an advantage of this one here is how far it is from cars and how it's in nature. So even though you have to negotiate and slow down a little and share your space with pedestrians, it's still a great option to get across the city. Ooh, I like the fact that this trail allows for different abilities. It means that people feel comfortable enough, so I'm going to give it another point. It's such a stark contrast to the Sao Paulo video. You can't help but think, wow, what great use of space that we have here in Canada. Look at that, they actually have a speed limit here at 20 because you have to share the space with pedestrians. That's interesting. I just wonder if it gets enforced at all. What I don't like about these multi-use pathways, aside from sharing the space, is that it treats cycling as a leisure activity, and then as soon as the park is over, you're back here on a street like this one where it's quiet, but look how much space is dedicated to cars. Again, double parked. Oh, I like this pedestrian and cycle bridge to get over the river. So this is interesting. Even though it's still a shared path or multi-use, it is along sort of a busier road, which means to me that this is more of a utility path, you know, utility cycling or commuting. So I'm gonna give it another point for that. And it looks here like they're trying a slower speed zone, 40 kilometers instead of 50. It's a little wide for that kind of speed, and I bet you cars are still gonna go 50, 60 here. But at least it shows that the city is trying to slow down traffic here. Oh, what's this? Oh, sorry, cyclists, your path is under construction, so just go around, okay? Just go on the road. Don't you worry about it. So even though it says here that construction ends, there's still nothing for cyclists to get back on the path. It's like cyclists don't exist. If you want to ride your bike here, you're gonna have to jump the curb. Okay, so we're finally on some dedicated bike infrastructure here. It looks like it was sort of slapped on to happen very quickly. It's not European standard, but you know what? It's a good bike lane. It's separated, and we're gonna give a point for that. bet you our European friends would not call this proper bike infrastructure, but the truth is that just like in Sao Paulo, I bet you that the introduction of these quick build bike lanes has probably really saved lives. Now, what you see up ahead here is what happens when you prioritize car infrastructure, right? You want this guy to be able to turn right, so you change from a concrete barrier bike lane to a painted lane, and hopefully the driver sees you before he runs you over. I'm sorry, but painted bike lanes just should not be allowed in winter countries where you get so much snow, sand, and dirt, and you can't even tell if it's really a bike lane in there. Okay, so there is a bike box here for crossing, but I'm not gonna give a point for this because the cyclist still has to behave like a pedestrian and cross a little bit at a time instead of being able to make a left turn here safely. And I also have an issue with a bi-directional bike lane in a one-way street. Because we have one of these here in Winnipeg, and it causes a lot of confusion when drivers are turning one way, but they're not really looking for bikes coming from the other way. So that gets deductions here. I like these simple bike racks that we're seeing here on the side for bike parking. They're not trying to be anything fancy. So I'm gonna give it another point. If you're European or you live somewhere where they have really good bike infrastructure, you're probably thinking that I'm being really fast and loose with these points. But you know, our standards are pretty low here in North America and in Canada. We're just happy to be able to get somewhere without being thrown in traffic. Uh-oh, what's this? Where are we gonna go now? Oh, that looked completely unnecessary, so sorry, -2. You can't really tell here because I'm speeding it up, but Tom is having to walk because of this construction that's happening right here. So I'm gonna hold on to that -2. Not going to give it extra minus points, but there was absolutely no accommodation for people on bikes, so that's not acceptable. Also, Tom didn't swear as much as I did. Actually, he didn't swear at all, so good job, Tom. One thing I've been noticing is these little wayfinding signs, these bike signs all over the city. So I am definitely going to give a point for that. Oh no, not a Shero. There goes the points. Oh, that bumpy stuff, that gets you minus points as well because it's just old car infrastructure with potholes and all that was painted over and said, okay, you guys can have this. We don't want the gutters, so you can have that. You might notice that I am shortening these light cycles, and some of our European friends would take away points for how long we have to wait at lights. But again, may I remind you, our standards are really low. We just want to arrive alive. Okay, that was a close pigeon pass, but I'm not going to take points away for that. Now that looks like really cool public transit, so that definitely gets a point. Oh, I see some great, simple, but effective bike parking right by the door, which gives us another point. So this brings our total to 15 plus 1s and 13 minus 2s, which makes it minus 26 for a total of minus 11 points. And thank you, Tom. That was a lot of fun. Now for some final thoughts.
It's crazy how stark the difference is between the two rides. Of course, it's unfair to judge between spring in Sao Paulo and winter in Calgary, though it looked more like early spring there because of the Chinooks. And it's also hard to compare a dense city like Sao Paulo of 12 million just in the core to a sprawling city like Calgary of 1.3 million. Calgary's area is 826 square kilometers, and Sao Paulo's core is just double that, and yet the population is 9 times greater. I personally enjoyed both rides for different reasons. It's super fun to zoom past the cars and the congested traffic of Sao Paulo, but it's also relaxing not having to deal with that loud traffic noise. What do you think? I'm sure I missed scoring some things and you might have scored them differently, and I would love to hear about it. Again, make sure to watch Tom's take on both rides. I'm sure that Sao Paulo traffic was a jolt to his Canadian system. Thanks again for watching, and thank you, Tom, for this awesome opportunity. Hope to see you again soon.